Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. We have another repeat guest for you today. If you want to go back into the back catalogue, he's previously been on episode 68 and episode 162. So it's been a little while since we've last chatted with him. He is one of our favourite guests that I think we've had on the show. He's done a lot since we last spoke to him. He has represented Australia at ADCC. He has gotten married, and there's a lot more on the horizon for him later to come through 2025 and beyond, I'm sure. Thank you very much for joining us, Dan Schuardt.
My pleasure. Yeah, no, it's really cool to see you guys again and have a bit of a chit chat. And yeah, no, stoked to be here.
Mate, I'm happy to have you on. Since I've sort of jumped on the podcast as co-host now, I haven't had the chance to have you on. So for me, it's a bit of a pleasure to have you on. We've rolled a couple of times. I enjoy a couple of things, mate. I really enjoy all of your social media, and I've messaged you, and you're very, very good at getting back to people, which I appreciate, Dan. But one of the things I do like is some of your tutorials, your clips that you put out. Number one, they're funny, so they're worth watching. And number two, you can implement some of these things absolutely straight away in your jiu-jitsu. So first off, mate, with the stuff that you do put out on social media via Instagram and that sort of thing, how much thought do you put into the technique that you're going to show? Or do you just sort of go randomly, hey, this is a good one, I think this will work?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting balance between what I think is like generally lacking. So like, say for example, if I go to a competition on the weekend and I see like a lot of people make the same mistake, I go, oh, that's interesting. And like, ultimately, I'm not really posting the stuff to make any kind of personal gain. I'm really trying to like help like the community in general to suck less. Like there's so much good information that exists. And I feel like on Instagram, you just get polluted with such trash half the time. And I feel like I've got to contribute to the good side. I'm basically, I'm basically the Jedis, you know what I mean? And all, and the rage baiting Sith Lord is like out there posting random shit that just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the main mentality behind it. I mean, part of it is like what I think is interesting or, that sort of thing. But like, honestly, like the things that have gotten like some of the best traction are just like small adjustments that make like what seem to be like fairly fundamental positions make a really big difference. Like, for example, like my video about like not hip escaping to retain your guard, huge traction because it's like everybody assumes you hip escaped. But if you say, hey, probably don't do that because I just get a free tight waist or whatever, like people go, oh shit, I didn't realize I was giving this away for free, And like that's kind of like the sort of thing that like a high level grappler looks at and I think, oh yeah, that's cool, I get that for free, that's awesome. But like maybe if you spell that out to people, across the board, that like maybe like the average white and blue belt would understand what I'm looking at way sooner rather than have to like comb through 1,000 instructionals or whatever. Or like I don't like to shit on other people's coaching, but maybe they're not like up to speed with like the newest meta of everything that's going on. And like it's hard to stay on top of everything. Like it's my job and I'm still grinding to stay on top of it. But yeah, so the goal is really trying to make like high level jiu-jitsu accessible to the average person.
Speaking of high level jiu-jitsu, when we last spoke with you, I think you were headed out to train with John Danaher and the team out there before ADCC.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, about your time there on the mats and just share with us?
For sure. Like training with John is like, if you've not done a class with John, you would never assume his session is like what it is. So people conflate John's instructionals to being the way John teaches normally, and it's the complete opposite, basically. I find John's instructionals can tend to drag quite a bit, but when I asked John about that, he was telling me that he's like, the main rationale for like having kind of like a lot of explanation time is that his understanding is that a lot of people don't watch his instructionals actively. They watch them more passively, kind of on the background while you're working or something like this. And so then it makes a lot of sense for him to be teaching something where it's like a bit more repetitive. So it kind of drums home the ideas, whereas like if you're watching something that's like a bit more faster, obviously you're going to miss a bunch of details. Like, for example, Mikey, his instructionals, typically, Mikey Mismeki, teaches very quickly. It's like he does it twice and then moves on, right? Which is fine. And if you're actively paying attention, great, you'll learn a lot of good shit. But that's not the way John has built his instructionals. Now, when you do John's classes, John teaches between like 6 to 12 techniques in a session, like
Wow.
a bunch of different stuff. And then it's always like, it's a good mixture of like things that you look at and you're like, oh yeah, that seems pretty straightforward, to like small, like micro as well. Like you obviously get the macro, like we try and work like, general concepts of body locking, but then you might polish up like a small detail on, when you use your body locking to connect into a high tripod, for example. Like there's just so many like little pieces that go into being a high level grappler. And yeah, John's just a master at putting it all together. He's unbelievable. And honestly, a very nice person. Like he gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes, but no, I truly believe John's a really good egg, to be honest. And honestly, like surprisingly generous with his time and this sort of thing. So he's very, very cool, man.
They talk about being on the mats like all the time. So being generous with his time, obviously that kind of falls into that category a wee bit, right? How does being in that room for you, how quickly do you feel yourself growing as an athlete? And also in that room, because there is, and you belong there too, Dan, like, don't get me wrong, but like in any session, you want to be winning, competing, and not so much losing, but struggling a little bit, right? So in those rooms, when you go over and you are at New Wave, how do you sort of balance your training out to get that sort of level of balance?
Well, it's actually funny you say that. So when I was getting ready for ADCC, the big show, it was a very distinctly different situation for me in that, like, when I'm preparing for trials, you can rationalize losing in the training room because you're like, oh, well, I'm going to go fucking, I'm going to fight in Australia or, in Asia where it's like not so bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then you can rationalize getting mauled every session because you're like, oh, okay, but I'm also here with these guys. It was funny. I think it was like after 2 weeks of training at Roka. And the thing about me is, like, I would say I'm quite a good training partner for them. Like, I'm definitely not bad. Like, I'm good.
You're not shit.
Yeah, I'm not shit, I hope. But then, like, you train with, like, Nicholas or Luke or Gordon or Dan or any of these guys. And they just beat the fuck out of me, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I can't stop them, And, because I'm good enough that they get interesting work with, but not so good that they, can't handle, typically, they love training with me, which is a blessing because I get to experience firsthand, like, the literal pinnacle of the sport. And, like I said, with the trials, I was able to rationalize losing. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to compete against these Australian and Asian guys. It's not the same as fighting like a Gordon,
Yeah.
And when I was getting ready for ADCC, I said to John, like, after my second week of getting mauled every day, and it really dawning on me, like, oh my God, this is actually the level that I'm trying to fight at. Like, and I'm getting just bashed. And I said to John, oh, John, like I was honestly really upset. I said, John, do you think I should, like, just do some training sessions at RGA, like Henzo Gracie Academy, the way, like, not the best guys go. Like, don't get me wrong, the guys at RGA are still really good, but it's not the same as, like, Gordon, for example. And I said, like, John, my confidence is, like, in the toilet, basically. I feel shit. And John looked at me and said, confidence is a funny thing. He's like, there's a confidence you can gain from going to RGA and bashing up people you already know you can beat up, versus the confidence that you gain from going with the literal best guys in the world and knowing you can overcome that and you can face that every day for like a month on end, And I was like, oh, damn it, why is this guy got to be right? Like, I really wanted the easy route.
I really wanted to go and win.
Yeah. And so anyway, and then so I stuck it out and I did the whole camp at Roka. The other side of that is, of course, it's very hard to control who comes and goes at RGA, for example. So, it's not too bad nowadays. I've been really on top of it, but there was a little while where it's a bit like, with like staph infections and stuff like this. So, like, at that point in time, if you get staph, like, it's really bad, for your preparation. So yeah, we're doing all this training and sure enough, when I ended up facing Kynan, like, don't get me wrong, Kynan's fucking excellent, really, really good, but like a very different kind of good. And after I recovered from chest-to-chest half guard against Kynan, I thought to myself, well, that definitely wasn't as bad as what I've just done for fucking weeks. You know what I mean? Like if Gordon puts me chest-to-chest half guard, there's not a snowball chance in hell that I'm recovering out of this shit. You know what I mean? So there was that level of like, wow, okay, this was horrible. But like, like that session really showed, like, obviously Kynan went on to win double gold. And like, you know, maybe it's first round, maybe he's just like easing himself in with Kynan. But like holding back those guys trying to pass my guard is like holding back an avalanche, you know? Like, it's just not going to happen, you know?
Yep.
And obviously Kynan ended up submitting me, which sucked, but, you know, it really like drove home like the skill gap that I truly believe is there with Gordon just being like he's just so good. It's ridiculous. But, you know, I could fucking sing his high praises all day. You'll get sick of it, I'm sure.
So is Gordon Ryan nicer in person? Because I have to be honest, his online persona is not.
Honestly, Gordon is really lovely. He's like very generous. He's been, you know, he like I went out to his house one time and fucking had a chat with him, and like literally just like the most chill guy. He's a very open book, very like quite generous with his time. Always been nothing but really nice to me. He's a fantastic training partner. Like very selfless with his help and his cornering and stuff like this. Like, for example, like when I was getting ready for ADCC, there was a bit of like umming and ahhing about who might be in my corner for the big show, for example, right? So I initially asked John. I was like, "Oh, John, would you mind jumping in my corner?" And he was a bit like, "Oh, yeah, because you don't technically represent New Wave. It's a bit of a because like we don't want to have teammates meeting and then people saying that like, oh, you know, got these guys. They should be fighting in the quarterfinal or whatever the case, right?" And he's like, "Oh, but maybe ask Gordon and see if Gordon will do it." And obviously at the time, Lockie was off cornering Levi with CGI and stuff like this, so like there was a bit of a crossover. That could be a time problem. Yeah, so Gordon literally was like, "Yeah, dude, I'll jump in your corner. Just let me know." And literally, like, it's actually crazy. I just looked back at my match the other day that I had with Kynan, and like to hear Gordon in my corner, and Gordon actually taught me a technique during the match. Like,
Wow.
he called me. He's like, I'm getting stuck in chest to chest half guard, and he's like, knee lever to butterfly, and I was like, huh, I never thought about that. And I tried it, and it fucking worked. And I literally escaped. That's how I actually got out of Kynan's chest to chest.
Wow.
I was like, that was actually ridiculous. This motherfucker like autistically neurolinked with me to tell me how to get out of Kynan's half guard. But Gordon is honestly a really nice guy, and like, you know, people can have like differences in their views and stuff like this, and of course, you know, he can be a bit brash. But I mean, to be like the best in the world at anything, you have to be kind of crazy, right? But yeah, in terms of like personal connections and stuff like this, he's never been anything but nice to me. Yeah, and like I have more than enough nice things to say about Gordon. He's a champion. I really have a lot of time for him.
All right, Dan. Who beats him and when?
I don't know, man. Honestly, like it looked so like when Gordon's stomach was like not 100%, he definitely had a couple of like tough training sessions in the training room. You know, the guys pushed him for sure, but like after like literally a week of Gordon starting to come back in and get his pacing again, he was like king of the mat again easily.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, like, no time limit. I don't think anybody in the world beats Gordon. You know, maybe there's a rule set that somebody like, yeah, I don't know. It would have to be a rule set catered to beating Gordon, and even then, I don't think it would happen. Like maybe like you know, a freestyle rules wrestling match with Nicky Rod, maybe you can get into total from a standing exchange, but like Gordon's scrimmage wrestling is so fucking good as well. Like this is the thing, like. It's not just as simple as like, oh, you're going to put the guy down, because in ADCC especially, you have to hold him down, you know? And like, when you do that, you have to commit yourself to this. And I just, yeah, I don't see it happening, you know? And like,
That's awesome.
if you watch like Nicky Rod versus Victor Hugo, like that was a pretty even match until, you know, Victor came out and took Nicky Rod's back and strangled him. And then you watch like what Gordon did to Nicky Rod, and it was like the level of disgust that Gordon had that he didn't submit Victor. He was like, oh, dude, I definitely should have got that guy. And when you watch it, you're like, okay, if you had enough time, like, you probably would have got there. Like, he literally just like I've rolled with a lot of really good people, and Gordon just feels like a class above everybody. Like it's fucked up actually. Honestly. You know what I mean? But it's inspiring though because like every day, especially myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of jiu-jitsu competitors and practitioners that can speak to this. You show up and you're like, oh fuck, do you reckon this shit's ever gonna work? You know, like you learn a move, somebody learns a counter, you know, and then you try it, you live, and then there's a new counter that you didn't prepare for, and there's just all these variables you can't account for. Gordon feels like he's worked out all those variables. Then like, so he's like proof that jiu-jitsu can work, which is fucking amazing. It's amazing, right? Because like day in, day out, I don't know about you guys, day in, day out, I go out and I try and do moves and try and put things together. And then there's another problem. There's another problem. And I just can't fucking get it to stick or didn't account for this thing. This motherfucker's just got that shit on lock. It's unbelievable. It's amazing.
And who is scarier to you, Dan? Big Dan or Josh Saunders?
Oh, definitely Big Dan. Like, I actually quite like both those boys. Like, I've come around on Suppo. He's all right. But no, Dan is like the loveliest guy. Actually, he actually like hosts me at his house when I go to train in Texas. He's been very generous for me and fucking helped me out in a lot of different avenues in life. But in terms of like somebody who's like really ride or die, Dan's that guy, and he's got like a militia worth of arms in his house. You know what I mean? Which you know, that's definitely a component as well. But also the size of him, like Dan, like it's ridiculous how large Big Dan is. Like Suppo, I think has like maybe maybe 10 kilos or so on me. Like Dan has like 25 kilos on me. Like he's like 6'7", 130 kilos. Like that's a titan. Like that shouldn't count as human being. Like Dan feels like he could grab my wrist and just turn it to dust. Like it's absurd. It's absurd how strong that guy is. With like zero training at all, he got under a bench press and was doing like 160 kilos for reps. Like it's like this is disrespectful. Disrespectful to me lifting for like 10 years to get anywhere close to that. You know what I mean? An absolute monster, but one of the kindest people. And like he's another guy that like you know, if you look at some of the things that have been painted of Dan, you know, he can seem like a bit of an oddball unit. I just think he's a funny bastard, and he says it because he thinks it's funny. But people think he's serious because he's this gorilla, you know. Like if you said to your mate, "Oh, bro, I'm gonna fuck you up later," you'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's have it." But because it's Dan and he's a fucking giant, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck you up later," and you're like, "Please don't come to my house." Like, like,
why do I believe you?
yeah, you know what I mean.
I actually remember seeing Dan on, I think it was, I don't know if it was Who's Next or Who's Number One, one of his first matches that I ever saw that was on some of those bigger shows. And I'm pretty sure at the time he was competing as a blue belt, and he footlocked this guy and just literally broke his foot, like on the mat. And it was like, the technique was obviously there and obviously good, but man, he just snapped this guy's foot, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's just strong and massive, and then like all the techniques. And now with this team, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, honestly. Like, yeah, like I actually when ADCC was on, because like both Luke Griffith and Big Dan both beat the brakes off me, to be honest, and I was like really interested to see how that match would play out. And it was hard because it's like, I literally fucking have so much love for both those boys.
Yeah.
But someone's going to win it. So
yeah,
it was very interesting to me to watch the game play out. And like, I don't know, it was an interesting strategy, I think, you know, like just because Dan's so big. I think like Dan comes from a place where he wants to prove a point about his guard. Like he doesn't want anybody to lean on this idea of like, oh, you're just big. Yeah. So that's, I think, part of why Dan pulls guard and plays guard so much. Like, but like when I stand with Dan, I just lose. Like, I just get thrown like a rag doll. And like, I'm a large human. I consider myself a fairly big person. And I just get like fucking tossed aside.
Wow.
And Dan, what's next for you? Like, Lockie Giles has recently been announced as the coach for the Australian Asian team for CJI. Are you going to be looking at going out for that, or what's
No, it's not really something that's on the cards for me. I got some other big fish to fry, basically. Like basically the main big thing that's coming up is the AIGA finale. So our team's fighting in that for Team Allione, and yeah, it's like $1 million prize pool for the tournament. So it's a pretty huge opportunity. I know there's like a ton of like really big names, really big matchups for the team there. So mostly focused on that for the immediate future. Yeah, I just think like yeah. To me, this is way more important. You know, Allione have done so much for me, so anything I can do to put my best foot forward for that tournament is what I feel like I truly need to do. And yeah, to me, like the CGI thing doesn't really strike any interest for me personally. That's just not something that
$1 million is of no interest, mate.
No.
Craig Jones beef?
Sorry?
Is there a Craig Jones beef?
There've been lots of times where Craig has said all sorts of things about me previously,
Right. Okay.
and I've never really said anything back. And yeah, I don't plan on really starting doing that today. But yeah, to me, it's just
No,
like,
and that's not what we're about either, mate. But you know that, like, you're very adamant about no, fuck that.
yeah. To me, like,
Which is fair enough.
I just think that I have some like principles and things like this that I think that I hold myself to, and I don't think that like necessarily coincides with the vision for that. So yeah. Main thing is just.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, mate. The first one really is this. I think the first time I saw you live was at Fusion Fighting Championships, and you came out and you'd hired Deadpool to come out and be like the other dude that you ran down towards the mat with, and I loved it because I love Deadpool.
Yeah, that was super right.
Yeah, man, what a legend. So for you, putting on a show is obviously important. It's a massive part of your personality. Like you're a joyful person, you're a happy person, so you enjoy putting on a show. So can you tell us a little bit about that? But the other thing that I really want to know is like how you also feel when you want to put on a show, but you don't put that performance out there that that either you can or you just don't. You get shut down or you can't on the night. So. Can you run us through that, mate? Putting on a show, and then sometimes when it doesn't pay off for you, and you just can't do what you want to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, especially when it comes to professional jiu-jitsu, like you want to try to make it something that you can show somebody who doesn't do jiu-jitsu, and they go, "This fucking stuff looks grouse," you know. So things like bringing Deadpool in, trying to slow dance with the ref, and they don't have a bar of it, or just looking like an idiot dancing your way out, and this type of things, like these types of shenanigans. I think like they go a long way to making it more entertaining for the viewer. And every now and then, like you'll try it and it will go wrong, and you look like a dumb cunt, basically, right? That's a technical term for it. But at the end of the day, like better to try and fail than fail to try. You know what I mean? And like ultimately, like if you're in a match and you're doing everything you can to try and force engagement and make things happen, and then you can't, well, I mean, that sucks. You should definitely, like you can definitely afford to take more risks. Like, for example, in my match with Tommy Gunn recently, like this match, I watched it back and I was like, this is a shit match. Like nothing good happened. That's the part that really irked me the most. But also like, the referee messed it up, basically, in my opinion, because like I got awarded the stalling call while I was active like the fucking entire time, and it like I had a chat with the head referee, and it went to the like head ref of like the IBJJF in Australia, and he watched the match and he was like, that was a massive mistake, like that guy was a robbery, so like I shouldn't have got the penalty was what it boiled down to, just regardless of the decision or whatever case, like I shouldn't have got this penalty, and then I would have won, but that's just being salty, really. But more importantly, like that match actually was a big, like, quite a big risk, really. In that, like, Tommy is definitely game, but like anytime you kind of like make it on a big show like AIGA or you make it to ADCC or one of these things, like there's an expectation that you go out and you fucking smash the guy.
Yeah.
And like after I rolled with him, I was kind of like, wow, like I really could have stood to play a more open game. Like in my head, I was like, well, the only way this guy beats me is if he's like super athletic and he dives past and gets an advantage and then stalls as hard as he can. So I was like, well, I have close guard and I'll just keep attacking. So like, if I've got close guard and I keep attacking, like how am I going to lose this? You know, like, to get out of this position, he's going to have to expose himself, and then I'm going to get more opportunities. So this is my general strategy going into the match. But like, realistically, I should have just been like, wow, just don't be such a boring motherfucker. You know, like, just like, because at the end of the day, like these matches, like who actually cares? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, like I've definitely played more fast and loose with other matches. Like for example, when I fought Anton Manenko, he managed to beat me on Boa. Like he did a really good job. But I was doing retarded shit. Like I tried to
but that was a fun match, right? I think that's what I kind of mean, Dan. It's like, and I agree, mate. I watched that match. I was actually in New Zealand at the time, and I watched it, and it was like, I think it was like midnight or something over there, and I'm just like watching it, and I'm like, come on, mate, this is going to put me to sleep. Come on. Like, we got to do something, Like, the walkout was awesome, and then the match, as you know, was kind of boring. And I saw your posts after it, and you were kind of a bit apologetic for it. But I know that you want to put on a show, and I think that's one of the things. It's like, when I watched you guys who are high-level competitors, you obviously want to win. You're not just going to do dumb shit for the sake of it and then lose the match. You want to also do good, fun jiu-jitsu, but put on a show and win. So it's finding that balance, right?
For sure, yeah.
But it takes two people.
It does, and yeah, like both the matches I've had with Tommy were both like these like stally, grindy, okay, what are we doing matches? And it's a way to win,
It is.
It's just not a way to win that I'm that interested in, you know what I mean? So I think that they want to do a rematch to kind of like, kind of right their wrong, so to speak, down the line. But it's like one of those ones, like, when I accepted the match, like, it was on short notice, because they were like, oh, can you fill in for this guy or whatever? I was like, yeah, all right, sure, fuck it, I haven't competed in home for a while, But in terms of, like, things it does for me in my career, like, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, wow, you actually beat Tommy Gunn, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to be blown away, It kind of does nothing, but I'm sure it'll be nice to like settle a score or whatever. Not talking shit on Tommy. He's a nice guy and all that stuff. I just feel like I have a lot more to lose in that respect, But yeah, it's just been, it was just a bit weird, and I just competed like shit.
But also insane. But in saying that too, though, Dan, like 2 weeks later or something, you were also competing at Grappling Industries.
Grappling Industries. No, I did. What did I do? No, I did the ADCC Melbourne Open.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Got ya. Okay.
Yeah, so I did that.
Was that the same weekend as Grappling Industries, maybe?
Maybe
I
the
think
weekend
one weekend out, one weekend different.
Yeah, got ya. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that went pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good guys in there for sure, and managed to get out there and have a good performance. I don't think I dropped a point. I think 100% submission rate. And I managed to beat Sam Karras, who's really, really good. So Sam's a brown belt European champion from over in Slovakia. Really good wrestler, and very dangerous all around the board, basically. So to get a good win against him and to submit him was pretty nice. So like definitely that was no joke. Like he was like running through the other guys, unfortunately for Australia. So I had to hold it down.
Speaking of performances, I have found this, and I just want to share with our audience that are watching. Do you want to talk us through this? Can you say this? This is from about 10 years ago.
God bless. There you go.
This is from 2014 for people who are just listening.
Yeah. Back when I used to be talented.
Is a bit of a gels kind of close with me. Played it 2 times before, but I feel like it's just suits me perfectly.
Fuck, what a loser.
Yeah, hope you guys like it.
Yeah, fuck. Let's see how far we've come, eh?
This is how I roll. Animal free skin's out of control. It's a bread food with a big explosion. Slap Bruce Lee on the got the blow.
Oh, look at that, buddy.
Goated.
Do you still sing that, mate?
Yeah, mate. Fucking. Yeah, that's how I used to pay the bills, basically. You know, I used to busk for a career actually before I started jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because we yeah, when I was young, I didn't come from a stack of money basically, but I was pretty good at guitar. Basically, I played it obsessively, and yeah, I got a few like little, music gigs and shit like this every now and then. But yeah, normally I used to, like, after school, I'd bring my guitar to school, and then I would go down to like the local Coles and busk in the street basically for an hour or something like this. And yeah, I would pay for like my train fare and get me a training, and I would clean the mats a few times a week to pay for my training because we didn't have much basically. So I did what I had to do to make it happen.
Do you still now like to relax or anything? Still play?
I don't get a lot of time to, which is kind of sad, but I still enjoy it. I'll crack it every now and then. I'll spend 20 minutes noodling away and then be like, fuck, I'm so bad at this now. I'll put it away and I'll come back to it in another 6 months and I'll get mad again. And it's a nice little cycle. We've got a cute little thing worked out, me and my guitars.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've always loved music. Yeah, I played pretty seriously for around 10 years. And, I did music in VCE and, I did like a few assistance works, in various like gigs and, all that sort of jazz. I helped out with a few people's admissions into, which school was it? Some school of music, basically. They needed like a guitarist in the background to do like an accompaniment, basically. So I did that back in the day, yeah. It felt like a lifetime ago, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's an interesting.
I think for your next, the next Fusion Fighting Championships or BOA or whatever, I think you should actually be recording. You should record your own walkout song, mate. Maybe sexy and I know it. Play it on guitar. Your vocals.
Everybody will have tuned in to watch me do jiu-jitsu, and they'll hear my fucking voice and be like, delete, cancel subscription, write a nasty review. That'll be what happens. Yeah. I'll lose 10,000 followers overnight. I don't even have that many. I'll go into the negatives,
Yeah, but you'll pick up all the music people, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah, music people are fucking strange. No, I'm joking. I don't want those guys. No, I'm just messing.
You go, Brent. No, go.
What about coaching? The difference, or not the difference? How do you balance coaching and learning? So you now have your own gym. You are a full-time coach. So how do you balance now your coaching career when you still are a very, very active competitor?
Well, what you have to understand is that, like, when people talk about like work-life balance and balance this and balance that, to be great, you just can't have any sense of balance. I squeezed this in today, but like my day starts at like 5:30 and it doesn't stop until 9:30, 10. I'll be like answering inquiries. I'll be fucking editing little videos. I'll be, hitting the gym, doing weights, doing study, like just around the clock, and like I coach somewhere thereabouts around 35 hours a week of coaching time. And then I do my own training on top of that typically. So like it's a pretty gnarly undertaking of like, mornings, middays, nights, like this type of thing. So honestly, like when you're like, how do I balance that? It's like, I don't in any real normal way. I just keep doing it and then hope it'll work, Like,
but what about getting your training in for you? Like, obviously, like when you're coaching, but how do you go about getting like repetitive, good hard rolls or that sort of thing? How do you go about getting those for you, mate? Like when you're at the gym all the time?
That's the thing. I normally don't, like I get out to St Kilda twice a week, and it's good to just be a student and just kind of, put my coaching hat aside for a little while. I do a couple of sessions a week at Precision, which I run for me typically. Like Monday, Wednesday, 10 o'clock is like color belts only, and I just run it basically for me. Like anything I feel like I want to work on, I'll run for me. But then if I'm like generally exhausted and I can't even put it together that day, then I'll occasionally, like, maybe the demands of the room will be like that I need to work on, you know, Billy and his heel hook or whatever, you know, so then I'll run it to that, you know, so I'll still end up coaching a lot of the time. But it depends on, like, what I have coming up. Like, if I'm going to do a match, I'll be more selfish. And if I'm not, then I try to just give as much as I can. I still feel like I learn a bit from coaching, but it's more just getting a more nuanced understanding of, like, how to express the problem properly, you know? Like, I think part of the challenge as a coach is defining the problem you're trying to solve for your students. And if you understand how to better express that problem and kind of paint a good picture for that, then the pieces fall into place much more elegantly, you know? Yeah, like, it's very, very hard. Like, I try to keep my, like, strength and conditioning and these types of things consistent for myself. But I probably only really get to do, like, a handful of sessions through the week, which, like, you know, when I went into kind of shifting gears towards really aspiring to be, like, great in jiu-jitsu, the goal was really to become, like, an elite grappler, you know? And, you know, whatever that looks like. It's not to be a world champion or anything, because I'm not, like, unreasonable. Like, there are people who live in Texas and train with John, and they do that session twice a day, every day of the year round. And I have a gym, I have a family, I have, you know, all these things. Like, I can't do that. So just to be even in their company, honestly, was a massive goal ticked off for me personally. And yeah, like, it's a beast trying to manage it all. But I do my best, you know. I think as long as my body is physically kept up okay, and I'm, you know, pretty consistent with things like mobility and strengthening and, you know, general levels of fitness, as long as I don't, like, eat like a family of 6 by myself, then I normally do okay.
And Dan, since you last came on, as I said, you have gotten married. Was that happened when you were over in Vegas at ADCC? Was that like a spur of the moment thing? I mean, you've been with your partner Fee for a long time, or was it something that you guys planned? Or tell us about that?
We planned. So that was part of what was so special about that whole experience. With, like, we brought Fee and my stepkids to the States to watch me do jiu-jitsu, and then do, like, a Vegas wedding. Like, who could ask for anything else? Like, got married by Elvis, bro. That was awesome. I loved it.
That's you.
It was such a cool day, and yeah, amazing weekend. It was funny, like, the night before, I went to, like, the after party for ADCC, and, like, normally I don't drink almost basically ever, right? And I went there. It was actually funny. So I went there, and they were like, "Oh, you know, like, we'll get you in, and we'll do this," and, you know, like, there was kind of talks about coming in and doing this after party, right? And basically, like, there was all these hurdles that stopped me from going to this after party. I had to change my shorts, I had to go back to the room, all this stuff, and I was like, oh my god, if I have one more fucking thing, I'm just gonna leave. I can't be fucked doing this. Anyway, and so I go to the venue, get in, I look around, I can't find anybody. I'm like, this is retarded. Like, I don't really go to a club. Like, what? To have mats there? I don't want to go. You know what I mean? But so I go to the club, and as I'm leaving, I see a text in the group chat from Mo being like, "Oh, guys, come to this booth. You get a wristband. You're gonna have a good time." I was like, "Oh, all right, fuck. I'm here. I may as well stick my head in and see how it goes." And I get in, and dude, it was actually, like, such a crazy experience. Like, I was, like, literally Lil Jon Get Low was playing, and fucking John Jones and I were, like, this far away from each other, getting crunk together. I'm like, that's the most surreal thing. So anyway, I had way too much to drink, honestly, and I came back and I was, like, super hammered, basically. And Fee told me that she heard me just crash in the bathroom, and she's like, "Did he die? Like, what the fuck?" And yeah, pulled it together. Got married the next day. Never been. No, it was the best. Couldn't ask for anything better. Yeah, it was unreal.
Married in Vegas by Elvis, mate. I think it's a pretty cool thing. I think that kind of sums you up in a lot of ways, you know? Like, that's the thing, man. Like, that's what I mean.
Believe it? Not one of those fake ones. It was a real one.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, Dan. Like, you are an entertainer. Like, you're a super open, you know, generous, happy person. And, like, just send it, right? Like, it's Elvis and we're in Vegas, so why not, you know?
Exactly, yeah. No, it was such a cool weekend, you know. Yeah, I couldn't ask for anything better. I mean,
mate, can you give us a rundown on your sponsors too? I know Allianz have been very, very good to you, but give us a shout out and, or give them a shout out.
Sure,
And,
yes.
give us a bit of a... Yeah,
Sure.
the
So
hoodie's
Elliot
nice.
is like
It's a nice hoodie.
the best company in the game, basically, for jiu-jitsu apparel. If you use the code MANCHILD at checkout, you get a bit of a discount. But yeah, they've really looked after me. So they picked me up after I had a good performance on the first AIGA, and man, they've helped me to travel internationally. Honestly, they made my career way more professional. To be treated like a real pro, and they've given me the platform to try to put myself out there. There's actually there's a documentary coming. It's going to be a big fucking wow, look how cool Daniel is. No, I'm joking, but it'll be kind of talking a little bit more about in depth about some different things that I've come through and been through in my path to getting here today, and that's pretty surreal. So they've done that for me, and they've supported me, they helped me get overseas, and really help in so many ways. I'm I can't be thankful enough. And then my other sponsor, Performance Hub, they keep this ship afloat, basically. So my coach Max and Sam down there in the Performance Hub, they do unreal work. They've helped me and my partner get way more fit and athletic, and they help me manage my injuries really well, and my wife as well. They keep me intact and keep me making progress, because it's really hard to, as you guys know, manage training hard in jiu-jitsu while also trying to make strength gains and physical gains and all these things, right? Especially when you have business, family, and all these other things. So we kind of have a really good system that ticks a lot of boxes, keeps me athletic, keeps me in shape, and works around injuries when I'm not in shape. So they do an amazing job with me, and I'm really grateful to them also. And then obviously there's just my team, Precision MMA out in Croydon. They're up and coming, but some of these people, guys, in a few years, we're going to be right among the top of the crew. Basically, I got Lockie and John in my ear and Gordon in my ear telling me, hey, this is how to jiu-jitsu. And I just spread that to my guys. And so it's only going to take time, and this team is going to be unbelievable. It's already getting really tough out here. But yeah, they're making unreal strides. And yeah, there's a few up and coming guys that I've got in the pipeline that are going to be really big problems.
Yeah, I've been out to Precision myself, and I can attest it's a great culture. If you're out in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, pop in and have a visit. Very, very welcoming, very professional place, and yeah, awesome bunch of guys. We're nearly out of time, but we're actually with Brent just going to try something new we haven't done before, Dan. So you're the guinea pig. We're just going to test it out with you. So let's see how this goes, Brent.
This is the close-on thing, mate. So you're comfortable how you are, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do a pop quiz. We'll see how this goes. So one-word answers, or if you want to expand on something, mate, feel free to do that. All right, you ready?
I believe in myself. Let's go.
I believe in you too, mate. iPhone or Samsung?
iPhone.
Gear or no gear?
No gear. Come on. I do love gear, but no gear, definitely.
Strength or flexibility?
I mean, what can I stars? Why not have both? No, I mean, I think probably flexibility for overall sake.
Ooh, I like that. Pasta or rice?
Probably eat more rice, but I love pasta.
Nice. Steak or chicken?
Steak. Easy dub.
Just because we covered it before and you can slam it again, ADCC or CJI?
ADCC. Obviously, that's my boy.
Who's the GOAT? Gordon Ryan or Hodger Gracie?
Nah, Gordon. Sorry, Hodger. I don't care. Gordon will bash me up. No, I'm sure Gordon would probably say Roger. Gordon would probably say Roger. Gordon would probably say Roger, but I feel like Gordon's unbelievable.
Takedowns or pull guard?
I'm just lazy. I'll just go pull guard. Depends. The short answer is it depends. Am I fighting some killer wrestler? Then I'm definitely pulling guard, bro.
I like it. All right, we'll leave it there, mate. I reckon you answered that perfectly.
I think we knew some of the answers to those before.
We did, definitely. I wasn't sure about the strength and flexibility one.
Yeah, I kind of come around on those sometimes, but then sometimes when I see people who don't have good mobility, I'm like, oh, bro, you're just so nerfed because you just don't fold properly. You know what I mean? You can't get your knees to your armpits, or if your hip external rotation is really bad, like bro, like your guard is cooked, bro. How are you going to retain?
Yeah.
So those, like, if you're structurally in good position, it makes a big difference. But if you're, if you're fucking 200 kilo strongman, I'm probably sure you're probably fucking up. You just throw me off the wall.
Yeah, big
Just
Dan
for
just
tails
bench
at me,
pressing
like
you
King
up.
Kong, Donkey Kong type character.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dan, for giving up your time. As you said, you are a very busy man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for
As I
having me on.
said, anybody that's around the Croydon Eastern Suburbs area of Melbourne, definitely do pop into Precision MMA. They have a really great club out there, very welcoming. And Brentos, did you want to do the wrap-up?
Yeah, for sure. We spoke last few weeks about watching this on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, just jump on and subscribe. I want to get the numbers of our YouTube channel up. That would be amazing. And if you are not watching this one on YouTube, you should have, because seeing young Dan the Man-Child up on stage with his guitar is definitely a cool thing, mate. And who knows? One day we'll see him up there again. You never know. Thank you for coming on, mate. I knew this would be fun. I knew that you'd give us some really good information, which you always do, so I appreciate that. Thanks for being so open and honest with everything, and really don't expect anything less from you, mate. That's the sort of person you are, so appreciate that.
Awesome. Jump on Instagram. Follow my page as well, Daniel_the_manchild. I drop new techniques all the time, and I have a good mix of like funny shit and real jiu-jitsu. So
and often a combination of both. With your beautiful editing that you do. And that's what I said right at the start too, like your techniques that you put up, you can, and I've messaged you and I'm like, hey man, this thing from half guard that you're doing to get that underhook, I used that tonight. I hit it 3 or 4 times straight away. So even for someone who's old and no skill like I am, like these techniques will work. So get amongst it. Thanks again, guys. Thank you to the guys sponsoring us too. We've got a few t-shirts left. We still have our awesome soap that we've got, the athletic body care. So check that out. I'm still using this. I've still got a few bars left before I have to replenish that stock. So that's cool. Other than that, guys, we appreciate you. Please share this. Tell your friends, tell your training partners, get your partners to listen to it. And good luck going forward, Dan. Looking forward to seeing you out on the big stages again, as always, mate. All the best. Thank you, Kim. And we'll see everybody next time on the Roll or Die podcast. Peace out.
Ciao, ciao.